Hello, everybody. My name is Elijah Desmond, and I am your host of today's The Backstage Pass podcast. And we have with me today my longtime friend, Devon Banks. How you doing, Devon?
Woo! I'm good. Good to see you, Elijah, as always.
Awesome. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, the way that I've been kicking these off is people want to know your backstory. And so I want you to take me back to, the little girl that you were around 5, 6 years old with these little tiny shoes on, your hair with your little this and that. Take me back in the day and catch within 5 minutes and tell me about your life leading up to where you are today.
Okay, cool. I gotcha. So, interestingly enough, as a 5-year-old with pigtails, I was in dental.
All right.
I was in dental. I grew up in a dental family. My mom and dad owned a dental laboratory, and that's where I got my roots. So, yeah, they definitely were doing the child labor thing back in the day. And we spent, summers, we spent spring break in that lab. We did not get to have regular summers and spring break like everybody else. We had to get in there and clean up and do all types of things. So, of course, the older I got, they started actually allowing us to do some of the lab work, initially starting us out slow with the lower stuff and then rising up through the ranks. So by the time I left there at 17, I was actually able to make crowns and bridges and dentures and partials and all types of things, even back as a teenager. So once I left there, I think I learned early on that I wanted to not have to listen to anybody else. And me and my dad were like bumping heads, right? So I left and I went to work for an endodontist. I was chair side. That was my first dental office I worked in. And I got bored very quickly. I kind of still do. So I went from endo chair side to general office chair side, clinical. And then at couple more offices later, I ended up in an office. I worked for a deaf dentist here in the DC area. And I actually left there as a Dentrix trainer. I was recruited from that office as a Dentrix trainer. This was literally the year Google was born. So it was way back when we had paper systems and so forth. Everything was, old school, right? So I decided that, young people tend to pick up on technology quickly. I was so in love with all of the tech stuff that was coming out. I was doing sales and training for Dentrix. This is pre Henry Schein. I was representing up to 10 different software systems at one time for sales and training, primarily based here on the East Coast. And I really just took a liking to software. I still love software. So, in the process of those things I was doing, it put me in hundreds of offices, as you can imagine. And that caused me to start really listening to what the needs of those dental offices were. And I figured out early on that the billing and claims component was the area giving people the most grief. So I jumped right in. I started picking up one office at a time, primarily here in my area because back then we didn't have remote access. So, you had to physically be able to get to the office in order to work in their system. And I built a little small billing office, right? Just me and my longtime employee, Alicia. She's still with me 21 years later. I kind of buzzed along for a little bit, just kind of hunky dory, happy with what I had and not really pushing to do more. And then one day I met this really ambitious young entrepreneur named Elijah Desmond. So I met you, and you, I can honestly say, was the one who pushed me to be more, pushed me to do more, and pushed me to really dig deep and find the true entrepreneur that I am. And it's been like gangbusters ever since. You've put me on stages, got me into my speaking career. I did not have that before you. This is not an Elijah commercial, by the way, for all of you out there listening. I'm just speaking my truth. You, along with the Nissa Holmes. I started doing work for Delivering Wow platform as a coach for them. And we just really started picking up offices all over the country, starting with Hawaii as my first one that was not here locally. And so here I am, right? Just still moving along. My main passion now in this part of my journey, I just really want to teach this insurance and billing stuff to people who don't know what's going on. I want people to stay compliant. I want people to stay out of trouble with audits and things like that, and really just help to make sure that these offices are getting their money that they're supposed to get from these insurance companies. A lot has changed over the past few years, and I'm just here to be a resource and teach as many as I can.
Absolutely. Now, can you tell me, Devon, what is for people that don't know what like the RCM space is, or even like billing such a broad
It
name?
is. It is.
Can you explain to people exactly what you do for dental practices?
Okay, so we are the way offices get paid. So from the beginning of the cycle is verification of benefits. That's just checking on insurance, making sure what the coverage is, identifying, deductible information, percentages, and so forth. From there, we submit the claims. We attach all of the appropriate documentation, make sure that it's set up to go from the very first submission. Once those payments come back in, we post those to the practice management software, and then we do any follow-up required for any unpaid claims. We write appeals. We pretty much just fight with the insurance company to make sure that the provider's getting paid. And then subsequent to that, we get billing statements out the door and we provide a call center for patients to call back in if they have questions about their bill. And if and when necessary, we are the mechanism by which we get these accounts out to collections as well. And we work with collection partners for that. As a billing service, we're not legally able to do collections in-house, but we do work with partners along those lines to get the collection activity started if necessary. We like to avoid that. Our goal is to make sure we get these payments into the office without having to do that last step, but sometimes it's required.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question, but I'm going to answer it with a question answer
Okay.
that I already have. So, the question is what specific problem in dentistry basically made you start your company? I'm going to just pause for a second and say, I'm going to tell you the specific reason why I recently, what, not recently, this is 10 years ago, by the way, why I reached out. It's actually more than 10 years because I moved. How long have we been knowing each other, Devon?
It's over 10. I don't give me the exact, I don't know the exact date. It's over
Great.
10.
It's over 10 years, but I called you. It was actually Facebook was around then,
Yeah.
and I basically said I have a dentist that I'm concerned about having to go bankrupt because they switched from I believe it was one software over to Dentrix.
Yes.
However, they did not purchase like a I don't know if it was an it wasn't enough training essentially
There
from
wasn't enough
Dentrix.
training, and they had the wrong clearinghouse for the carriers that they were seeing the most patients for. It was twofold.
Right. And they were, I mean, they went from, collecting, let's just call it 130,000 to $140,000 a month. And it went down each month as they were not able to input the stuff into Dentrix. And clearly now there's this clearinghouse thing that I don't know anything about. And eventually they're down to $60,000. So that means that you're taking, at one point, you're taking a $70,000 per month hit. There was
Yep.
almost no choice but to close the door. And at the time, I was working as a dental consultant. And
Yep.
I'm just going to call it like it is. I was focused on hygiene and I was focused on Invisalign. I was not focused at all on any other numbers except for that. I just knew what was coming in production. Lousy consultant me. Whew. Let me go ahead and say what I was, but I was focused on those two things.
Yeah.
And so also as a consultant, there's no way I'm going to let my dentist go down in flames. Absolutely not. It's not happening. And so what did I do? I went to where I knew the most people were in dentistry and they would know the best at what they did. And so I said the story. I said, I need somebody that is familiar with Dentrix, that is the expert, and that has the ability to take my dentist from, filing for bankruptcy and saving them. Well, you came along and you literally saved the day. Like you and I got very close very fast is because you saved somebody from the worst day of their life and came in and you collected, 161. You just got you brought them up and then they were getting these huge checks and you saved them. They never had to worry another day again about their billing and collections. And so you did that for them. And they still to this day are working with you. Matter of fact, we've seen them recently.
Yeah.
We've seen them together and they're never gonna leave you. I mean, Devon, what is your retention, by the way? Like, what is your retention?
We hover around 96, 98%. We don't have very many people leave. I mean, the typical client who leaves us is because maybe they got bought by a DSO or maybe they retired. We had one or two that went down, unfortunately, during COVID, right? Um, Sometimes they switch their software, okay? And so we are considering coming into some other software systems in the new year because we are starting to hear that they're kind of maybe want to leave Dentrix. So we are contemplating that as a pivotal move for us to continue to support our clients. But it's never going to be, oh, you're horrible, Devon. We don't like your service. Something other than, nothing we have control over.
Right. That's awesome. That's really good to know, and I'm learning something new as well. So
Yeah.
awesome. Can you tell me if there was a profound moment in your career though coming up that made you realize like that you wanted to do this? Like did somebody get completely screwed over, or was there what happened that was like, oh, I'm gonna do billing, and matter of fact, it's gonna be Dentrix.
I don't know that I have that so much. I mean, I've had multiple over the years that have further re-emphasized why I do the work I do. Initially, honestly, I'm being very honest, I did not have this master plan.
Hmm.
I did not have this vision initially. You know that because you helped me kind of uncover a lot of my hidden talents. I really am just good at taking advantage of an opportunity and I'm a good executor. If something's put in front of me that needs doing, I got it. I'll organize it. You know me, I'm OCD. I like to put systems in place, I like processes. I didn't have this vision. I really didn't. I'm just grateful that I got here, in spite of myself almost. But there's been many, many over the years, I can't imagine. I mean, I've had, clients who more than just the doctor who you and I have in common, many more have been close to bankruptcy when they arrived on my doorstep. Many more have been under, major audit when they arrived to my doorstep. Many more have called in tears that, their husband's going to leave them. They've bankrupt the whole family, account and they don't know how long their marriage is going to survive if they don't get it together.
Hmm.
I have a lot of those stories. I don't get very many people who are doing great when they arrive in my inbox, So we have to save a lot of offices and it's made me good at it over time. You do something over and over again, you get pretty good at it. So I
Hmm.
don't know that I have any one story. It's the collection of stories that I continue to get to this day. And I take it personal, right? My dad was a small business owner. I'm now a small business owner. So I see my clients as just another fellow small business owner. And they're looking for resources. And I just try to do unto them as I would hope someone would do unto me if I were in need of help. And that's what drives me is just that general understanding that they're just like me. And I tell them that on our calls that we are the same. I'm going to treat your company like my company. I'm going to do the best I can to make sure you're successful. Your success is my success. And that's how I operate. And I push that down to my team and remind them periodically in case they sometimes forget. And that's the way we operate. And that's in my spirit. I feel that.
Got it. Can you tell me what's the biggest misconception that dentists have about your category of business and dentistry and how you do it differently?
I know the reason we're different is because we are very hyper focused on their whole business. Sending out the claims and posting the payments, those are all mechanical things that are occurring that at some point in the near future, very near future, because we're working on it behind the scenes, those things are transactional. They're going to at some point go to the way of automation and AI. However, there's a lot more to billing, right? You have to stay compliant. There's laws that are involved, contracts are involved. It's just an ever changing landscape that it's a lot to keep up with, even for us. So the average dental office owner and or their team at the front, it's almost impossible for them to do all the things they're doing and serving their patients and keep up with the hundreds of things we have to keep up with. So I think that's what sets us apart. I know that's what sets us apart. We are here to be a resource, not just on the billing side. Software training is included in their services. Not to say it's unlimited, but I've never had anyone that I had to like yank the chain on for that. It's just whatever they need, we're there. I'm a trusted resource for my clients. If they need a broker, right? If they need a lab, if they need consultant, if anything they need, I like to position myself to be able to send them a trusted referral and hand them off, right? Just perfectly so that they're going to get the help that they need. It's not just about the billing. I want to see them succeed. Again, I take it personal. They're small business owners just like me.
That's awesome. And let's go back to some of those resources. This is the Backstage Pass podcast, and many of the people that are watching have got to hear from the founders. I imagine, just coming into dentistry when I first started, and I remember one of the first shows was the American Dental Association, the ADA
Yes.
conference. And I remember walking on the showroom floor and just being in complete awe of what was in front of me. I couldn't believe there was so many dental companies. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of just very innovative companies that existed. Some of the companies were exactly the same, but there was literally hundreds of companies. And what really sets this group apart is that number one, you're not going and talking to sales reps. You're not talking to somebody on their biz dev team. You actually, like, all these videos are with the owners of the companies. And so to get to know the owners and the people behind the booths, right? The people that are employing all the team members is really a big deal. And so I want to know how it's been for you being in backstage. You've been in backstage, over 2 years now, and we are here to serve dental practices. I want to know what it's like and it's been for you with your book of business and your clients and this your life in backstage.
Where do I begin? So, as you know, when you first initially brought the backstage to me, I was in a pretty bad place on a personal level. I had some deaths in my family, my dad being one of them. I didn't have space for anything additional to have to commit to. So I took a back seat to backstage for just that moment. But man, ever since I got here, I didn't realize what I needed until I got it. I realized now that I had been going through my whole career advising other people on how
Mm,
to run their business and how to grow their business. And I was not getting fed that same thing for my business. And so for me, that's what Backstage has been for me, just the amazing, brilliant, kind, abundance mindset people that are in this group. And it's just spiked all the information and knowledge that's in my brain now. And I just am thinking, what was I doing before? I was on an island by myself, just trudging along, right? All the things I was offering my clients, I wasn't even seeking for myself. So that's the major thing that Backstage has been for me, just really elevating my business acumen and getting me in another place in business that I just never probably would have been able to do without that.
right. That
Secondly, it's just really rare to find a group of people who operate the same as you, who provide that, one-on-one service with the customers. They're accessible. They're here to serve, truly serve their customers. It's just hard to find that, in not just in dentistry, but in business anymore. So I feel, blessed to be amongst this group because I know we all operate the same. I know if I send anyone to you or anyone to Rick the lab, anybody to Greg, I know it's gonna get done. They're gonna keep me in the loop if there's an issue. We're gonna operate as a team when necessary, and we're gonna serve the client, right? That's real simple for me. That's all I want to do is to serve the client. The money comes. The money
right.
comes if you do what you're supposed to do. I just want to make sure we're serving like we're supposed to be serving and we're not doing what everybody else is doing, right? Just as many customers as possible, make money, but that's not really doing the customers any justice. So that's been those my twofold part is just the fact that I now feel like I'm a better business person personally, and I'm surrounded by people who operate the same as I do in business.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I almost feel like we've created this group of, like, I'll call it 50 or more um consultants at the highest level, because really like what a consultant does, if you really define it, is a consultant helps you with what you need, right? And so all of these members that provide all these amazing products, services, software, they also they have resources to connect the dentist to what they need. And we're constantly figuring out how can we do better, how can we serve better, what things are changing, what trends are picking up in our industry. And so the power of us as a unit is powerful. So hey, listen, Devon, it was great interviewing you. My question to you, for people that are trying to get in contact with you and they want to pick your brain or they want to utilize your services, what is the best way to reach you?
Take your pick. Instagram, DTechBC at DTechBC, Facebook.com/DTechBC, Devon at DTechBC.com. My mobile number is 240-461-9590, 1-800-679-1140. We'll get you over to my VP of operations. Anyway, LinkedIn, wherever wherever you are, I'm there. I don't have TikTok yet. That's the only place I don't think I am. But otherwise, I'm kind of everywhere. I'm easy to find. Had the same phone number for about 25 years. So yeah, give me a call, inbox, message, whatever suits your fancy, and very responsive.
All right, that sounds good, Devon. And we'll see everybody else on the next episode of the Backstage Pass podcast. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
Yes.